Hi everyone, Carter, Chris, and I are back with you from the pavilion. My cohort, Ed Borth, will be back with me to do a podcast after USA-Pakistan. So let's talk about that match, and we're going to also preview the other two matches for Tuesday, including the other match in Group A, which will impact the U.S., which is the Netherlands against Namibia. India does not play on this second match day in Group A. And then their match against Pakistan's apparently not going to take place either. So they're going to be very well rested when they get to the knockout stage, because I think we all assume that India will win Group A. So let's get to what I'm calling the Colombo crisis. This match, of course, is in Colombo because Pakistan will not play on Indian soil. Can a broken attack, which is a highly injured attack, break Pakistan for the U.S.? Obviously, the United States beat Pakistan in the last World Cup, and we're selling this grudge match, right? It's been talk since these groups were drawn and the United States and Pakistan were drawn together. We know Pakistan and India always get drawn together for television purposes, although the ICC is going to lose out because that match is not going to take place, apparently, which means all that television revenue, the reason for drawing Pakistan and India together, and then the idea of keeping Australia and England on the other side of the bracket so they could potentially meet in a semifinal. Those are all done for television purposes. And this is something I'm very familiar with from my sport of soccer, football, where even UEFA qualifying groups are largely determined by television and what the media companies want. So this group was drawn because media companies want Pakistan, India as a match in every World Cup, and they're not going to get it in this World Cup, apparently. So let's talk about this. The world is going to be focused on February 10th, tomorrow, on Tuesday, to Colombo, and the U.S. versus Pakistan, a rematch of one of the greatest upsets in the history of the sport and the greatest upset in recent World Cup history. Although I would say the other match I would put in that kind of conversation was, well, there's some other matches I put in that conversation, not just one, but this is definitely near the top. In 2024, the U.S. broke the cricket world by winning that match. And that super over, which Netravalkar bowled brilliantly, was one of the most talked about overs in the recent history of cricket, and particularly in the history of limited over cricket. So what was proven that day was that the project of bringing the U.S. into kind of the standard of international cricket that it needs to be at had been successful. But the last 2 years since then, we've had all kinds of governance issues in this sport in this country. And this is something I'm used to, again, from the sport I work in, soccer, where the United States Soccer Federation is one of the worst governing bodies, in my opinion, in all of international sport. And perhaps the international governing body of football, FIFA, is trying to catch up with the USSF. So the problems with USA Cricket, which actually predate USA Cricket, they go back to the days of USACA, 15, 20 years ago. There are two successive governing bodies in the United States that have been so corrupted, for lack of a better term, that the U.S. has been suspended, has been on and off of ICC suspension. Currently, USA Cricket is suspended from the ICC. The U.S. is participating in this tournament under the auspices of the United States Olympic Committee, it's now the U.S. OPC, U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, which obviously they've got their hands full with their own Olympic Games going on now, but they've had to take a role in putting together this U.S. team and governing the U.S. national teams temporarily while USA Cricket serves a suspension, which is an indefinite suspension. So we wouldn't even be having this match if the U.S. Olympic Committee hadn't stepped up, U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. So let's thank them. So the U.S., in spite of this, because we have our own league now in Major League Cricket, which is modeled very much after the IPL. In fact, there's some IPL franchises, the Super Kings, the Indians, the Knight Riders, right? The Kolkata team, the Chennai team, the Mumbai team, that have put franchises here in the United States. there has been a development of professionalization, even though USA cricket has been a mess. So the U.S. has the quality to beat Pakistan again. I don't think there's any question about it. The U.S. ran New Zealand very close in that pre-tournament warm-up match, and then obviously scared the heck out of India in the first match in the group stage at Eden Gardens in no, it was at the Wankhede. It was in Mumbai. Very, very odd the way the wicket played. Usually Mumbai, much faster wicket, much higher scoring wicket. But that was the lowest total ever defended by a victorious team at the Wankhede, was India's 161. So the U.S. did a great job of bowling. So the U.S. still has a lot of quality in spite of these governance issues, but there haven't been enough international matches for these particular players to play together over the last year or year and a half. They played against each other or with each other in Major League Cricket, but they did not reconstitute as a national team until 2 weeks ago, because of all of the controversies, and then the match fixing scandal involving Aaron Jones, who is arguably the U.S.'s best player, who has been suspended indefinitely from international cricket. So it is amazing the U.S. is here, considering all this corruption, all of these problems. But we are here, and we have an opportunity to beat Pakistan again. So let's talk about this fixture. Pakistan's coming for blood. They are sitting second in Group A, technically behind India, but we know they're not going to play India, so they've got minus 2 points basically coming. And they looked really vulnerable against the Dutch. And when you consider how well the United States played against India, which, again, you could argue India there's a lot of jitters. They're the pre-tournament favorites. They're the defending champions. They're trying to win a World Cup on home soil, which historically for India has been very hard to do. For those of you who remember the 2023 one-day version of the World Cup, those of you who remember the World Cup in 2015, those of you who remember some of the T20 World Cups in the past. So India has added pressure when they play at home. And so perhaps the fact that the United States, barring two mental errors and a very untimely injury to Ali Khan, which we will get to, have more than a 50-50 chance to win that match. Maybe it speaks to India starting slowly because of the pressure and the expectation, and the fact that even though Sky carried them, right, their captain, their biggest star now, they are missing Kohli, they are missing Rohit Sharma. There's no Sharma is retired from T20. Kohli is retired from T20. Bumrah, they're missing also as a bowler, although their bowlers were brilliant against the U.S. Okay, so let's get back to this. The Pakistanis remember well Netravalkar, who gave up 22 in that last over to Sky, and that was ultimately the difference in the match with India winning. An over, he probably doesn't bowl if Ali Khan doesn't get injured, but they remember what Netravalkar did to them 2 years ago in Dallas, and they're motivated. They're out for revenge, and I think based on how we played against New Zealand, based on how we played against India, and based on what we've seen from Pakistan, the U.S. could do it again. But before we get to the actual tactics of this matchup, we're going to have to talk about the injuries. So we talked about Ali Khan, and I don't want to get too nasty about this. I didn't talk about this. Ed and I didn't talk about this on the podcast immediately after the match, I didn't talk about it on the review show. But India is the richest nation in the world when it comes to cricket. They generate the most revenue. The IPL itself generates more revenue in 60 days than the entire England Cricket Board generates in a year. If you think England is a wildly rich nation, they are in other sports, in football in particular, in soccer, they're the richest nation, but not in cricket. And for India not to have that surface at the Wankhede, perfect, because I heard Indians criticize the pitches in the United States 2 years ago. And justifiably so. And I heard them criticize the pitches in the West Indies 2 years ago. Again, justifiably so. And the English were all over the pitches in the United States, talking about how terrible it was. It was like a cow pasture. How can you play cricket on these surfaces? The English were worse than the Indians with that. But we heard it from Indians. And after watching the injury a couple times, think Ali Khan, if that surface had been properly manicured, he probably, whatever happens to his groin or to his knee doesn't happen. And so losing Ali Khan in that match meant that 2 overs he would have bowled, I think over 17 and over 20. We had other bowlers, and India had explosive attack. We said they had 22 and over 20 against Netravalkar. That's the difference in the match. So is Ali Khan going to be back? He had a nightmare this month because India would not grant him a visa because he was born in Pakistan, even though he is, to me, the classic American cricketer. He's been playing cricket for the U.S. at the international level longer than anyone. And so his preparation hasn't been ideal. And then he gets hurt. He's the heart of our death bowling. Without him, I think the opportunity to hold Pakistan to 140, 150, I think it goes away if you lose his 4 overs bowling. So very, very devastating if we don't have him. Let's talk about Jesse Singh being hurt. Jesse Singh got hurt against New Zealand. He separated his shoulder, or something happened to his shoulder while diving for a ball on the ground in Navi Mumbai, across the bay on the mainland in Navi Mumbai. That was, I'm not going to blame the pitch or the grounds for that injury, but it was untimely. So he's out there with an arm in his sling after the New Zealand match. He wasn't on the roster sheet, the squad sheet against India. And I've been told it's basically he might not play the entire tournament. There's a possibility he could play against the Netherlands or Namibia, but unlikely against Pakistan. Now, in terms of Ali Khan, I've been told it's quote doubtful, but it's possible. So doubtful oftentimes means a guy, but can he bowl 4 overs with the normal pace? Can he deliver 24 balls? I don't know. So let's assume we don't have Ali Khan or Jesse Singh. That's going to really hurt us. So I think Ken Gagey, who didn't bowl an over against India, we're going to have to bring him back to bowl. Harmeet Singh is going to have to probably bowl 4 overs. Mohammad Mohsin is going to probably, and by the way, Mo's bowling was really good against India, maybe the best bowling besides Van Skalwick. So, and Ali Khan, right before Ali Khan got hurt. So I'm pretty confident with his bowling. And then obviously, I think Skadley was phenomenal on Saturday against India, Skadley Van Skalwick. So I worry about his age, right? This is going to be his last tournament. But he was really dialed in that match against India and bowled brilliantly. So that's potentially, and maybe Shubham he steps up to bowl. But remember, he got hurt also. Now, he was able to bat, and he actually batted for the most runs for the U.S. in that match against India, but he wasn't able to run out any of the runs. So if he was hitting what would have been a single or maybe potentially a brace, they became dot balls because he couldn't run. And he would just stay on strike and then, deliver a boundary or deliver a 6. So maybe it all evened out because he stayed on strike, not running those out, but he couldn't run those out because of his injury, which he got again bowling when he was bowling in relief of Ali Khan. So the injury crisis is real, and we have an older team. So we have to remember this. These guys may recover from injury a little slower. But who is not an old player for the United States? Who is the prodigy? Sanjay Krishnamurthy. And Sanjay had his coming out party. We've heard he's been the great hope in American cricket. And so I was kind of dubious. I'm always kind of a glass half empty guy sometimes. I'm thinking, oh gosh, Sanjay's he's gonna freeze up on the big stage against India in Mumbai at the Waneki. I mean, an American cricketer, even though obviously he's a first generation American of Indian descent, he's gonna freeze up. No, he kept us alive in that match. Singles, taking dot balls in a smart area. He had done he was really, after we lost those 3 early wickets, including Andres Gauss, who I'm a little bit concerned about because we saw difficulty from him in the warm-up match too. I mean, I think Krishnamurthy really showed, I mean, when the U.S. needed him most, he was really able to step up and show his quality. And the partnership he developed with Milland, that partnership began in the warm-up matches, the match against India A on Monday, and then the match against New Zealand on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever that match was. It was Thursday, I think. They developed a partnership. So they were keeping, even though they weren't getting boundaries, they were keeping their wickets alive. We went 52 balls against India without losing a wicket after we lost 3 wickets in the first 18 balls, I think, 17 or 18 balls. And so, including Gauss's, which I'm going to address in a minute. So I think that partnership in the middle of the order really critical for the United States. And this is kind of how we were able to get through the tournament last 2 years ago with Aaron Jones in the middle of the lineup, striking up partnerships with Manav Patel at times, and at times with Milind Kumar. So that's and Aaron Jones, of course, that's the sore subject, right? Again, banned for match fixing. He's not at this tournament. He's banned from international cricket for the moment. Allegations of match fixing. Let me say that they're allegations until they're proven, but some very serious allegations against the former great American batsman. So very, very, very disappointing from our U.S. perspective. But I think Sanjay Krishnamurthy is going to play a huge part in this. Now, what about Andres Gauss? Because he's a guy that I thought we were really going to lean on in this World Cup, and he batted a duck with the first ball. He was out against New Zealand, leading off. And then against India, let me pull up the scorecard. He was out pretty quickly also. He scored 6 runs on 9 balls and lost his wicket on the 9th ball. So which got India going. Now again, remember, because India had such a low total to defend, Sky decided to put his 2 best spin bowlers into the power play 3 overs each. So that's part of the reason we didn't really get going until the middle of the order, because India decided to use, kind of exhaust, they gambled really, exhaust their best bowlers, 3 of their overs. They couldn't bring those 2 guys back until the late stages, until the death overs. So we had a runway with which to really chase that total, and we made a go of it until the mental error by Milland that we've talked about over and over again. We don't have to relitigate that. He just can't make that mistake again against Pakistan, or make that mistake again in this World Cup. If you think the wicketkeeper might have the ball, don't take off. Just stay put. You don't need 1 run that badly. So that would be my assessment. So Ed Borth and I will be back after the U.S.-Pakistan game to discuss it. The match is on at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday morning. That'd be 5:30 a.m. for those of you on the West Coast, on Willow TV and on Willow's YouTube channel. If you have one of the cable systems that carry Willow, maybe you have Willow. If not, look for it on YouTube. That's the easiest way to watch it. So real quickly, I want to go through the Netherlands-Namibia match, which is also in our group. The Netherlands lead this all-time series 3-1. There was no result. The Dutch dominated Namibia when I watched them play a few years ago, and the Netherlands showed incredible grit against Pakistan, nearly chasing down the target in Colombo before falling short. Their scoring has been fairly high in Colombo thus far in this tournament. Their bowling unit, led by Logan van Beek, looks probably the best in the tournament besides India at this point. I thought Afghanistan would have some crack bowlers, as you all know I talked about, and then New Zealand really got to them. But I still like Afghanistan's spin bowlers in particular. So it'll be interesting. Namibia, I'm told, is better. I actually talked to someone who's Namibian who of course told me he roots for India because he's a front runner. But that they're better. They're going to be better in this World Cup. And they are battle hardened as an associate nation. So I think they're gonna give it a better fight than they did last time. But that I think is a big match. And something we need to watch as Americans. Okay, and the other match on Tuesday, real quickly, is in Chennai. It is, you talk about big upsets. So we're talking about the Pakistan-US grudge match. How about UAE-New Zealand? One of the other big upsets in the history of this World Cup was when the UAE beat New Zealand in Dubai a couple of years ago. And that was a really shocking international result. And I think it was UAE's first win, if I remember, over a full member or a test nation, at least at the T20 level. So this is something to watch, because we know the pitches in Chennai favor spin, or historically have spin bowlers. And New Zealand surprised me. I had underrated New Zealand because I'd seen them against the U.S. and thought they were very lucky to win that warm-up match. And maybe the U.S. is just better than some of us expected, including me trying to be optimistic about the U.S. team. We've outperformed my expectations against both New Zealand in that warm-up match and then India in the first match of the tournament. So 5-wicket win over Afghanistan really got to Afghanistan's spin bowlers. And so they can hit spin, is the point. Tim Seifert loves this venue in Chennai. He's had great matches. He had a great match against India in this venue. So he went for 50 plus against Afghanistan. I'd watch him again. Mohammad Wasim is a power play specialist for UAE. So keep an eye on him in those first 6 overs. And if he survives those first 6 overs without losing his wicket, he can be lethal, and he can keep UAE in this match. I think Afaz Khan, who is a really good spin bowler, he's going to be a guy New Zealand, they know about him from that match in Dubai a few years ago. They're going to want to contain him. And obviously, in terms of pace, we know how good Jacob Duffy is for New Zealand. So I think that this will be a real tactical battle, New Zealand's pace and UAE using spin, and the pitch in Chennai, typically very spin friendly. But as I said, Afghanistan, who I think have almost as good a spin attack as India, right? India's the best. We know that. But Afghanistan, I came into this tournament ranking second among spinners. New Zealand really roughed them up with a really high target to chase. And Afghanistan had posted a good number. So New Zealand seems to be in form against spinners. And to that end, even the warm-up match against the U.S., they had they went for 207 against a U.S. non-fast attack. When you take Ali Khan out of it, who is a fast bowler, the rest of the U.S. attack are seamers, they're spinners, off-leg spinners. New Zealand went for 207. Now, the thing I focused on was the U.S. losing Gals on the first ball and still almost chasing down that 207, coming very close. But New Zealand's attack really seems to be in good form. So I think they're going to beat UAE, and we will be back tomorrow to talk all about USA-Pakistan. And enjoy your cricket. And once again, we will be back here on the channel from the pavilion.